Did you find it?
Yes, here. But be careful, okay? Magister Ragon will have us flayed alive if we lose it.
I will, don't worry. Did you hear the news? This guy, who's been wandering around the temple most recently? Lucar told me the Grand Master believes he could help find a cure for this red madness.
The red madness? You mean...
Magister Yarrow, yes.
By Malphas, did you really need to remind me of that?
Well, it doesn't help to just close our eyes and pretend nothing ever happened. Even the Arcanists say this is not an ordinary disease. But still, I think they're holding back. They'd never trust us novices with the full truth, you know. I guess we're not as good as this Outlander or Keeper Sakavesh.
Probably not. Anyway, take care of that tome, alright?
I will. Walk blessed, brother.
Pathlessness wherever you look. Where is this supposed to lead?
But that's ridiculous. We have to at least try to negotiate.
You know his demands. There's no basis for negotiation.
He has not seen what we have seen. The writings, the memories of the Prophet. If he just realized...
My dams, my sirs.
Shit. What took you so long? And where is Constantine?
That's a long story.
And those were his final words? I can't believe it.
Simply another victim of the High Ones. If we do not activate the beacon soon, he won't be the last.
Oh, right. The beacon. If it's activated, we'll simply glow the red madness away, won't we? Or maybe we could, for once in all this, do something that actually makes sense and focus our resources on finding an alchemistical or thaumaturgical solution to this problem, rather than trusting in a pile of scrap metal.
Oh, by the Prophet's ass, won't you just shut up for a minute? All day long you do nothing but babble, getting on our nerves, and nothing you ever say gets any closer to a fucking solution. So why don't you just shove off to one of the bathhouses? Go torture the washerwomen with your never-ending lamentations. That would be helpful for a change.
You will take that back.
Will I? Come here and make me. I'd be delighted.
Blasphemy!
Guard your
This
tongue,
is blasphemy!
wild mage, or...
Or what? Are you gonna kill me? That's what you do best, you and your fucking order.
Silence! You are angry, Lishari Pegast, and I understand why. But in the moment you let that anger destroy this alliance, Firespark's sacrifice will have been in vain. Is that what you want? Is that what you want?
No. No, it isn't.
Good. I am tired of this endless bickering. We have a responsibility, and we will fulfill it.
Well said, Aranthiel. And how exactly do you think we are going to do that? Without the sources, the beacon is as worthless as a heap of rusty iron.
The chroniclers are on it, and they will find the answer. Novice, tell Commander Aaron to join us. We need to plan the defense of the land. You, Prophet, will come to me as soon as you have recovered. Now, let us get to work.
Please, Tilor, Jorik is right. A war with Nerim? This is madness.
I know that it is going to be tough, but we have no choice. The beacon is all that we have.
Yes, the beacon, the beacon, the beacon! We don't even know what this thing does, let alone if it will work. If you start a war only because of that damn machine, it means putting the lives of thousands at risk, only because of some
The
vague
sun be praised, you've made it.
This is ludicrous,
Constantine.
Tina. It's entirely irrational.
He didn't deserve
The man
this.
I knew would never have acted
It's
like
just
this.
not fair.
Yes, because that man is dead. I've made decisions driven by fear and selfishness before, and they were always
Someone
wrong.
is going to pay for it.
I will not let that
I'll
happen.
see to that. I have to talk to you as soon as possible. It's about the seal in that letter we found on the mercenaries in Old Rashengrad. I believe I'm onto something.
You always were.
Their client is from ENDERAL.
Sacrifices.
From
This is
Ark,
about your
to be
damn
more
pride,
precise.
Sealor. Nothing
Let's not
else.
talk here, though. Meet me in the Dancing Nomad. I'll be in the first room upstairs, right at the end of the staircase. And hurry. Well, why do you think? Come to the Dancing Nomad after you've spoken with Oranthiel. See you there.
Irrelevant. This madman, Koarek. He has completely reshuffled the cards. Now we not only have to deal with the High Ones, but also with him and his fanatics. However, there's also good news. You have probably seen it already. Physically, yes. And we also know how it works now, and how it can put an end to the cycle. It is easier than we thought. The beacon was constructed for one thing, to destroy the High Ones. Once reconstructed, infused with energy and activated, lit, as the Pyrenes called it, it can banish the High Ones from this plane of existence. Immaterial, indeed. Essentially, they can be compared to the cold or to shadows. Omnipresent elements, yet we cannot touch them. Energy, if you will. However, there is a counterpart to each energy. Cold and fire, shadow and light. The High Ones and the beacon. Yes. Imagine a torch driving away the darkness in the moment it is ignited. This is what the beacon can do. Except that the banishing will be permanent. Yes, as I said, it needs to be infused with energy before it can be lit. I take it you have noticed the 3 sockets on its base. They are what it draws its power from. Once they are filled, the beacon can be ignited and the High Ones will be undone, once and for all. At least, if the old writings are true. The only thing left for us to find out is what these energy sources are. We are close. Give the Arcanists some more time and I will let you know if there's any news. In the meantime, get equipped accordingly. Some of the Neremes have landed already, and outbreaks of the Red Madness become more and more frequent as we speak. No, there are not enough, and we must keep the few there are in our possession, in case anything unexpected should happen. The only thing we can do to stop the madness is to destroy the High Ones as soon as possible. Well, it's only fair to tell you. You've always been honest to me, so I will do the same. Have you ever heard of the Night of the Thousand Fires? Between 8,192 and 8,202, there was an underground movement in Kira called the Red Half Moon. They were brought into being by a group of intellectuals and philosophers who, under all the freedom of thought Saldrine granted them, started questioning the reign of the Golden Queen, and thus the Lightborn themselves. Correct, just as my son did. But other than him, they fought like cowards. Terror, dust crystals planted in the marketplaces, and assassinations, you name it. If they killed innocents, they blamed the Golden Queen, and if they killed her soldiers, they celebrated themselves as liberators. However, they never succeeded in putting her down, and neither did she in destroying them. which is why the court turned to the Lightborn for help. A division of the Holy Order led by me, a young keeper of barely 30 winters. None to be taken seriously. You know, not everywhere is the Order as present as here on ENDERAL, or as it once was on Naren. In Kira, we were ridiculed. I saw the Kiranian keepers who served the Golden Queen. A bunch of decadent gluttons who had dedicated themselves to the court's banquets rather than to the will of the gods. They were pathetic. A moon after our arrival, we received an anonymous tip on where one of the half-moon's bases was supposed to be located, in a small coastal village. As we entered it, we were greeted by the township's elders, and the villagers themselves had gathered behind them. You should have seen how they stared at us, as if we were plunderers. I should have seen by then that something was wrong. That's what they wanted us to think, and they did a good job at that. A veiled person here, an archer on the rooftops there. I got nervous, because villagers are not, they bested us in numbers, and they had kettled us. Then a man seemed to charge at us, and I gave the order to draw weapons. It was just the spark they needed. No, not a fight. A massacre. The villagers had pitchforks and shepherd staffs, and we had shadow steel swords, let alone the fact that we were trained warriors. I realized that I had made a mistake a split second after it started, but it was too late by then. My men, they slaughtered them all, like pigs. At the end of the day, 300 people were dead, and only 10 of them were keepers. Well, what better proof of the Lightborn's cruelty is there than a division of keepers who, out of pure wickedness, slaughtered an entire village, women, children included. If the people had already distrusted us before that, that distrust had turned into hatred, then nothing could have changed that, not even the Golden Queen's heralds. We set sail back to ENDERAL a week later. 2 years after that, the Red Half-Moon destroyed itself due to infighting. Ironic, isn't it? Maybe. The Lightborn and the Grandmaster back at that time showed the compassion I wouldn't grant myself. But I learned one thing, and that is that I will never again let fears about my own life influence my decisions. What happened in Kira was the consequence of my own cowardice, and my unwillingness to give my life for a just cause that will never happen again. Yes. As I said before, my knowledge about that is limited. But if it helps you, imagine that it is a way of perceiving that which connects us all, our subconscious. Yes. You know, most people perceive themselves as an entity separate from the rest of the world. And while this is partially true, there is something that connects us, dark corners of our mind, bridges to which we in a conscious state do not have access to. But you do not need to be supernaturally gifted to feel that these bridges exist. I am sure you have experienced it yourself at one time or another. A moment where you knew exactly what another person thought or would do next. People with close blood ties can especially feel that connection. Children and their mothers, siblings, and especially twins. Correct. And while most people hardly feel this connection at all, as if looking through a tinted window, to you, it is wide open during your visions. Their bodies might be, but the traces they left behind still remain. Everything that was, everything that is, and everything that will be, it already exists in the sea of eventualities. This is the basic principle of magic. And time is not a straight line. Only the barriers of our mind make us perceive it as such. Visions, premonitions, dreams that become reality. These are all leftovers of waves from other eventualities that spill over into our reality. There have always been people able to read them, but none so good at it as you are, thanks to the Echo. Good question. In their writing, the Pyreans say it has existed for aeons. Since this world exists, since the sea of eventualities exists, so too then does the cycle. It seems to be a part of existence, so to speak. The Pyreans didn't, and neither did the dozen civilizations that came before them. That is what we know. But as for what happened before that, our knowledge about the past is limited. All that matters for now is that the cycle threatens us, and that we have to stop it. That depends on whom you ask. In some writings of the Pyreans, we are referred to as chosen ones. But this is wrong. A better word would be chess figures with their own will. Whatever force causes the cycle also gave us powers and a task. But fulfilling that task is our own responsibility. No. Well, that is something else we only know in broad strokes. It is my task to lead mankind in its battle against the cleansing, to rally our strengths, so to speak. Yours is to read the Echo and help us gain the knowledge we need for victory. How exactly you're going to do that is something we still have to find out.
The fabled prodigy. I hope you can live up to what they say about you. I really do.
As if they'd ever listen to me.
Good evening.
Always go too easy on this gun.
Well.
Move along.
Fades away at the end of the day. Prophet, are you in there? Kirat, what? Why? What have you done? Watch your tongue, Shari. Be glad that the blood is already dry, or else you'd be nothing but a pile of bones by now. Forgive me. I just can't believe it. Anyone but Lashari? Yes, I know, Nea. But she was a good woman. We both know that we're not involved in this. So please tell me why you and Lashari wanted to meet up here? Were the two of you close? It's been a while since there was a man at Lashari's side. So why? What? Then this bastard got wind of it. Oh, Kirash, Lashari, why the secrecy? Maybe the murderer has left a clue. We have to search. What's this? Let me see. Yes! This could be our clue. No, certainly not. But come to think about it, it doesn't really help us either. There are so many dust addicts in Ark, it would take years just to count them. Oh, by the name of the sun, I will inform the Order. Yes, you do that. But come back to the temple as soon as you're finished, all right? The Archmagister has found something out about those sources we need for the beacon, even though he paid a high price for it.
Yes, conscience. Well, that's just how he is. The prodigy, huh? Apparently we owe you for the shards of this sigil stone. I didn't think I would ever say this, but thank you.
Ah, if it isn't the Prophet. What's wrong? You look troubled. Yes, I understand that. This Korak is a selfish man, blinded by his own pride. That leaves us with even less time to light the beacon. Thank Malphas we finally have a trace now. At least as far as the sockets go, yes. In the old tablets you found in old Dothugrat, there's talk of black embers, which are supposed to be some kind of energy supply for the machine. This is what we've been asking ourselves over the past few weeks, and then it fell like pelt from our eyes. The Pyreans were talking about the Black Pearls. Old jewels, sometimes known as Blackstones. They appeared for the first time in the Golden Era, and every self-important noble literally fought to get one in his possession. Apparently they originated from Stormwind, the old city in the heart of Arctwind. They changed owners for decades, sometimes by violence, sometimes by gold. The whole thing only stopped when the owners took note of an undesirable side effect, if you like. No, at least not with any known magic. And that's what's so strange about it. Nevertheless, all of their owners eventually shared the same fate. Countess Katua from Nerim, for example, whose castle burnt down to its foundations. According to a survivor of this tragedy, she was to blame for that. He claimed that he saw her the night it happened, laughing hysterically and dancing in the dining room and summoning waves of fire all around her. She was not previously known to have any magical talent in her. Correct. Plus, all of them eventually showed similar symptoms of delusion, like those possessed by the Red Madness do. A peculiar coincidence, if you ask me. Not quite.
Those who owned the pearl tried to get rid of it, or lock it up somewhere safe, and eventually they fell into oblivion. Tell him your theory, Archmagister.
Yes, of course. We believe that the stones carry energy, pure, uncontrolled magic, and that the High Ones use them for their own purposes. Correct. The pearl's magic make their owners powerful, but the High Ones befoul them, so to speak. Like a poisoned potion. I know it sounds odd, but the parallels are too striking to ignore. The red shimmer in the victim's eyes, the slow descent into madness, and ultimately this irrational, destructive act of violence. That's what we thought too, but it seems that we were wrong. Maybe the High Ones never leave our planes at all, even after the cleansing. Maybe they are even part of this world, just like the tides or the elements. And the death of the gods is only what really sets them rolling, so to speak. That's what we think, yes. Nothing else in this world possesses that much raw power.
Which is why you will find them for us. That's right. But we don't need all of them. The beacon has 3 sockets, and that is how many of the stones we will acquire. Archmagister.
I studied the history of the pearls as a young arcanist, and I think that my notes might give you some hints as to where you should start looking. Give me until tomorrow. By then I will have prepared the relevant excerpts. Just come to me whenever you have questions.
And hurry. I take it you have already noticed this, but Nerimi's troops are roaming our land and building outposts, and the Red Madness is also getting worse as we speak. Now go, Prophet. The sooner we find these stones, the better.
Yes. Yes, that just might work. This just doesn't make any sense. Why can't it ever be easy?
There you are. Walk blessed. Do you have a moment?
Ah, greetings. Of course, what do you need?
Magisters never change.
Yes.
Prophet?
Hello. Yes?
Yes, it makes sense.
Well, finding out about the Blackstones was definitely a great step forwards. But still, we're left with a myriad of questions. Sometimes I feel pathetic, to be honest. Like a child, asked to understand the functioning of a Starling airship. Ah, yes, here. There they are. I've marked the most relevant parts so you don't have to read the entire book. Just see if they tell you anything that could give you a clue as to where you should start searching. I will be waiting at the beacon. I do? Thought I had gotten rid of it by now. But yes, I'm originally from Nerim. Just like you, as I've heard. Oh, I don't know. Probably because I don't have very fond memories of my time there. You know, if someone would have told you 20 years ago that one day I would be the Archmagister of the Holy Order, you'd have probably laughed in his face. It's absurd just to think of it. You know, I was a slave there. Yes, you see, I was born into a traveling group of Aeterna minstrels. I never got to know my father, though, and living that way was hard. So my mother eventually decided to burn all bridges behind us and start over. Sorry, I'm babbling. I don't want to bother you with my boring stories. Well, after some days on the road, we met a traveling merchant who gave us a ride to the next village. A small one named Sildren in the Salathan forest. It seemed almost perfect at the beginning. The place was quiet, and my mother found herself a job as a weaver in the local count's castle. One day, however, the count simply stopped paying her, and, well, when she asked for the reason, he told her that we were his property from that moment on. Just like that. Why wouldn't it be? We were just a woman and a young son, and he owned both the land and the local guard. We had to serve this Creole, that was the count's name, for 9 years. It was horrible. No one. We weren't the only slaves he kept, and the villagers were too afraid to do anything. As for Chancellor Baratheon's armies, well, I'd be surprised if they even knew Sildren existed. Pure luck, I suppose. One day, an Enderalayan merchant and his escort passed through the village. They were on their way to Wave Rock to catch a ship from there. And just by coincidence, he saw me crushing some herbs I had found in the forest. That's what I did in the little spare time I had, you know. The Salathan forest is so incredibly rich with plants you have no idea. What I didn't know was that I had found an entire sheaf of God's tongue. That impressed the merchant so much that he simply bought me. He left her there. Believe me, what he did had nothing to do with mercy. He just saw that there was money to be made off of me. I cried and protested, of course, but 2 months later, our ship arrived in Ark, where he got infected with flesh maggots and died shortly thereafter. Luckily enough, he was a sublime. And since his relatives didn't know what to do with me once he was dead, they simply asked the Order to grant me the novitiate, which they did. By the left path. Sounds crazy when I tell it like that, and it probably is.
Hope he knows
But
what he's
back then, it just happened. I tried, but as you can imagine, my obligations made my options to do so very limited. Only recently, however, word reached me from a mercenary whom I sent over. According to him, Creo is dead, and his castle was deserted. But who knows if he just said that to appease me. I think when all of this is over, I might ask the Grandmaster for permission to travel there myself. And then, who knows? By the righteous path, now I really am babbling. I am sure a man like you has better things to do than listen to the stories of a boring old chronicler. I should probably get back to business. Forgive me.
Pathlessness wherever you look.
What do you mean?
Where is this supposed to be? And the obvious madness only happen in the last stages of the disease. What happens before that? And how? How?
You're the one they call the Prophet, aren't you? Congratulations on passing the trial, I guess.